I'm racking up all these charges. All my friends are dying. All my friends are committing suicide. And it's just a vicious cycle of trauma and wanting to drown it in trauma. And that's what came first. It didn't matter who or what was in my way. My family didn't matter. My friends didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was making sure that I wasn't sick.
We are so excited to announce that our Come Back to Christ event is happening October 10th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We are going to be gathering at the Thanksgiving Point in Lehi, Utah at the Show Barn for a full day just dedicated to faith, restoration, powerful stories, and an authentic community. This is a day for those that are seeking to just feel the Spirit, and it will be filled with everything that you love about the Comeback podcast. We have an incredible lineup of speakers joining us. We have Amber Dawn Pierce, Dawn Bradley, Casey Griffiths, and plus we will be recording live comeback stories, hosting a panel discussion, and featuring musical guests, and announcing some more speakers very soon. Tickets are live right now at comebackpodcast.org. They're donation-based, so with a $35 minimum, but here's what really matters. We don't want the cost to be a barrier for you, so if that $35 doesn't work for you, please reach out to us. Email us at info.comebackpodcast@gmail.com. We want you to be there. If you're interested in sponsoring or being a vendor at the event, we'd love to partner with you. Send an email to info.comebackpodcast@gmail.com. For any questions at all, feel free to send us an email. This is more than just an event. It's an invitation to return, to connect, and to find the Savior Jesus Christ. And always remember him. We'll see you on October 10th. If you've ever wondered why we do ads on the podcast, it's because the revenue that we get from ads helps us keep the podcast alive and keep the podcast going. So we have decided that we are only going to do advertising for those who we just fully support and love. And one of those people is Mike from Mike's Auto Shack. You guys, I cannot tell you how amazing Mike is. He is the most genuine human being. He has been buying cars for people for over 28 years. It doesn't matter if you live in Florida, Texas, Utah, California. Mike will get you a car from your local auction. And so you don't have to travel too far to pick it up. And he only buys cars with a full factory warranty. So go register on his website, mikesautoshack.com. People on our team have personally purchased cars from Mike, and we just love him, and we love how much he loves the podcast. So go buy a car from Mike. So Kiaya, first of all, your necklace came and it looks so freaking cute.
I know, I love it.
It is so cute on you. I'm so glad that you got it. It looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
So I am so excited to have you on the podcast. I've actually been seeing your videos on Instagram, and I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So tell us, I like to hear just a little bit of context before we jump into your story. Tell us like where you live, just a little background about you, maybe what you do for work, or, you know, if you have kids or whatever, just give us some background about you and then we'll jump into your story.
Sounds good. So I'm now living in Snowflake, Arizona. I moved here almost a year ago with my son. And we live next door to my sister and her family and next door to my parents. So it's really nice to have a little family community around us. And I enjoy working out and like being active. I like to be outside. And I love being a mom. It's one of the greatest blessings of my life. And I never thought I would even get to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're having a good time in Arizona and just trying my best to follow Christ and be a good example and show others that you are never too far gone.
I love it so much. Okay, let's jump into your story. I'm so excited.
Okay. All right. So I was raised in the LDS church. My dad was my bishop growing up. I would go up every fast Sunday in our small little branch in Beatty, Nevada, and bear my testimony every fast Sunday, and said I wanted to go on a mission when I got older and all the things. And I feel like when I was young, I kind of was doing some of that just because I knew that's what my family liked, and I knew that's like what made them happy. And I'm not sure, I didn't really have like a strong testimony of my own. but I knew like I was learning good morals and values and things like that. And I know like doing those things was like making my family happy. So we moved to St. George when I was 11, and I was super excited to move there because I lived in a very small town in Nevada, and I knew moving to Utah, I was like, oh, everyone there is LDS, everyone there is Mormon. I'm going to have all these friends, you know? And moving there was just like a shock. I was pretty outgoing as a kid, and then moving there, I remember going to a ward party when we first moved there, me and my mom did. And she was like, oh, go talk to these girls and introduce yourself to them. They look like they're your age, you know? And I'm like, okay, great. So I walk right over there and I say like, hi, I'm Kiaya. I just moved here or something. And they just like looked me up and down and like walked away from me. And I was like, wow, that really sucks. And my mom like describes it because we talked about all this. And she's like, I just kind of saw you shrink. And so that kind of like affected my self-esteem and like kind of made me anxious. Like I was very anxious after that because I was like, oh, I do not belong here. Like I'm not pretty enough. I'm not, you know, this or that, or I'm not from here and I don't belong and whatever. So that kind of affected me for a long time after that. And then when I started school, because we moved there in the summer, when I started school, I was very, very introverted, very shy, very scared to draw any kind of attention to myself because of the experiences I was having at church with people my age. And I ended up finding friends with people who probably weren't the best influences on me. And I ended up meeting a guy, a kid. He was a kid,
Well, yeah. How old were you at this time?
13.
Okay.
Anyways, I met him and I like had a crush on him. Anyways, I ended up being sexually abused by this guy. I was very sheltered. I grew up LDS. I didn't know anything. I was 13 years old. I don't know what's going on. And the next day he went to school and made fun of me to everybody about it. Like, oh, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I
That
didn't
is
know what was happening.
horrible.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, oh, these are the things that you have to do for a guy to like you. That was in my head. I was like, oh, I need to do these things or else I'm going to be made fun of and whatever. So after that, then my self-esteem tanked even more. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, oh, I'm dirty. I can't tell my family. They're going to get mad at me. And I just kept it to myself literally until I was 18. And so that I started to go downhill really fast after that. I was still hanging out with this same group of people, met more people, started smoking weed, started drinking hard liquor. And that was like 14, 15, you know. And then by the time I was 16, I had this group of friends that we would hang out every day after school and smoke weed in my friend's like backyard. There's like a shed back there. And so we would do the same thing every day. We'd all meet back there and hang out and listen to music and smoke weed and whatever. And one day, someone had something else that I'd never seen before, had no clue what it was, and they were smoking it. And they were like, oh, have you done this before? And me going through those things when I first moved there, I was like, of course I have, because I want to fit in. I want to not seem like I'm out of place or I'm not cool enough or I'm not supposed to be here, you know? So I'm like, of course I have. And so I do this drug, not knowing what it is at all. And I really liked it. It made me feel like I didn't feel bad about myself. I felt like more myself, like outgoing and whatever, and I didn't care about anything else. It made me not feel anything, and I loved that. And the next day I asked that friend, I said, what was that we did yesterday? And he was like, it was heroin. And I was like, whoa, that is crazy. Like I've heard all these crazy things. Like it doesn't seem like it's that bad. Like what's the big deal about this? Like I've heard all this stuff and I didn't die, you know? And I'm like, it was not a big deal. Like it's good, you know? And so from that day forward, I was like, oh, well, let me get some more. And that was basically it. By the time I was 17, I had my first adult charge for possession of weed. So I was on probation from when I was 17. And that
How
carried,
was how did your parents react to that? Because you grow up, your dad's a bishop, all this stuff. Like, what was their reaction to this?
yeah, so they're the ones who called the police on me. So I kept my weed bag, paraphernalia and whatnot underneath my driver's seat in my car. And one time when I came home, I guess my dad searched my car and he called the police on me. So, and I lived across the street from a school and a church. So they charged me as an adult because those were two drug-free zones. After that, they didn't realize what was going on. My dad was kind of in denial. My mom was very stressed out, but she didn't realize how bad it was. Like, they didn't know what else I was doing. They just thought maybe it was just weed. I think I just turned 17 or something. So I was on probation for a while, I think probably a year, and I think I lost my license as well. So I had to take drug tests regularly, and I ended up failing a drug test. So when I was 18, I had to go do my first weekend in purgatory, and I was 18 years old. And my mom, they still didn't realize how bad it was at that point. By this point, I was having withdrawals, and I was full blown addict, like doing it every day, or else I was sick. And my mom was like, "Oh, she's gonna be scared straight. Like, she's gonna go to jail, and she's gonna get better, and it's gonna, put her on the right path." And it was the exact opposite. Like, that was just the very beginning. And so I went and I turned myself in for the 48 hours I had to do a weekend. And I fell asleep while I was waiting for them to book me because they took so long. And I had gotten high before I got there. And by the time I woke up, which was not very long, I was already sick. So as soon as I was in the jail, I was withdrawing. And it was nighttime. So I didn't sleep the 2 days I was there at all. I was just sick the entire time.
And can we just, for anybody that is listening to this, when you're withdrawing from heroin, it is the darkest, sickest, most horrific thing ever. And I think that it kind of just paints the picture of people are like, why don't you just stop? Why don't you just stop? But you're literally a slave to this substance because anytime you don't have it, your body needs it. It cancels out any rational thinking because you need it to be physically okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The whole time I was in there, I wasn't like, oh, I need to get better and I need to stop this stuff. The only thing I was thinking about is as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to go pick something up so I can feel better.
Yep.
That's all I was thinking about. And that's what I did. I got out of jail. I went home, I took a shower, and went straight to my friends to get high because I was so sick. And shortly after that, my parents ended up like kind of kidnapping me and taking me to a detox center up in northern Utah. And then there they had like a bed for me at a rehab in Fairview, Utah. And so I went through the detox place. I was there probably a week. I went to this rehab. I was 18 years old. I had my 19th birthday in there. I think I was there for 60 days. And it was an all women's rehab. And it was like centered around LDS people. So it was for LDS people. So we had like faith discussions on top of like recovery and things like that, which was kind of cool. So I was there and I was not really trying, still trying to be like, oh, I'm too cool for this. I did this and that, and I'm like a gangster or whatever, like just being dumb, you know? And I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was supposed to be clean as well while I was in there because I'm like, if I'm clean, then you need to be clean too because it's not fair, you know? And he said that he was, and I'd call him and whatever. He came with my parents to pick me up after I was done with my 60 days. And on the drive home to back to St. George, I see on his phone that someone was asking to get something from him or something like that. So I got mad and I said, as soon as we get to my parents' house, you're taking me to get something. Okay. I get to my parents' house. I don't know how I talked them into letting me leave, literally within minutes of being there, but I did. And me and my ex, we left, and I was high within the hour of getting out of rehab, getting home from rehab. And literally 2 weeks later, I was back in purgatory. That's all it took. So I'm back in purgatory for the second time in less than a year, probably.
Also, Purgatory is the name of the jail in southern Utah.
Oh,
If
yes.
anybody doesn't know what Purgatory is.
That's right. Yeah, I was back in jail. So the judge who was my judge, he obviously saw that I had a problem and was like, I want to let you out of jail, but I don't think you can stay here. Like, you're obviously not doing well in St. George. So you need to be somewhere else out of state. So my sister, who I live next to now, she's always helped me no matter what. She lived in Las Vegas and she said I could come stay with her, and she had a young family, which was really nice of her. So my parents picked me up from jail and drove me straight to Vegas to live with my sister. And I was doing good for a while. I would just babysit my nieces and nephews and have fun with my sister and her family and stuff. And I was doing good. And I got a job at Cafe Rio. So I probably have like 90 days or so clean time. And I'm working on Halloween night at Cafe Rio. And two guys come in. And one of the guys ends up leaving me his phone number at the because I'm the cashier. And so I start texting this guy. He's quite a bit older than me. I was 19. He was 25 or 6 or something like that. And we ended up starting to date, and he was love bombing me and sending me all kinds of stuff and like taking me out and just saying all these sweet nothings that were all lies. And I told him that I was a heroin addict and that I had just got out of jail and all this stuff and that I hadn't used or whatever. And I opened up to him about these things. And one of the times that he came to pick me up, he had like a bag of Roxy's for me as a gift. And I relapsed that night. And so now I'm back on drugs and I'm at my sister's house and I'm not coming home. And she can tell that something's wrong, you know? So I get kicked out of my sister's house, which I should have. I shouldn't be around the family when I'm like this. So I ended up having to move in with this guy who I don't really know that well. And obviously is not that great for me. And things got ugly very quickly. He was very controlling, very physically and abusive, sexually abusive, mentally, emotionally, just every kind of way. He was very, very, very abusive. I would have regularly 2 black eyes. I'd have bruises all up and down my arms just from like going like this. I remember sometimes I'd felt like my forearm was broken because I was trying to like block my head from being punched and stuff. I remember getting out of the shower one day and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I'm completely covered head to toe in bruises. Like, I remember taking pictures on my phone just in case I ever like got brave enough to call the police or something or just leave this situation. And he would always like take my phone. If he was hurting me and I was mad or something, he would take my phone so I couldn't call my family for them to come pick me up. So he knew the password for my phone. And so I emailed them to myself thinking that they would be safe there. And he still ended up finding them and then told me that I'm just going to start punching you in your head now so that it hides the bruises. So he started doing that instead. So my whole head would be just bumps and everything, like it hurt to lay down at night to try to sleep. And we were both on drugs at this point. I'm not even working anymore because I just stopped showing up to work. He doesn't have a job either. So we're doing burglaries and things like that to make money and just stupid stuff. And we end up getting arrested one night. And me, instead of being smart and being like, okay, I'm free of this guy, like I was so attached to this relationship and it was such an abusive cycle where he's telling me that he's the best I'm going to get. Nobody else wants me. My family doesn't want me. I'm just a burden and a screw up. And I'm lucky to have him in these things. And these are things that I started to believe about myself that I couldn't be without this person. And so I waited for him to get out as well. And we went back to the same crap before. Now we don't even have a place to live. We're living in weeklies in the bad part of Las Vegas. I remember going to Jack in the Box, and I remember when they had like the receipts and you would do like a survey and you get 2 free tacos. That's how we would eat. Going through the trash and like doing those surveys to get 2 free tacos.
Oh my gosh.
After we moved into this weekly, he just punched me wherever. Again, he stopped punching me in my head. He would just strangle me and stuff like that. And he strangled me one time till I was passed out. When I woke up, I don't know how long it'd been. I woke up and the door to our Siegel suite was just wide open and he was just gone. And he just left me there to die. And the first thought I had was like, oh no, I'm alone. I need to go find him. Like just completely screwed up. Like my way of thinking is completely just messed up from this toxic relationship. And shortly after that, though, I finally was like, if I don't leave, I'm literally going to die here. So I ended up texting my dad or calling my dad. And I was like, can you please come get me? And he left immediately and came and picked me up and took me back to St. George. And at this point, I wasn't doing heroin. I was doing other drugs and things like that because he decided he didn't want me to do that. So I'm now back in St. George with all my old friends, which is not good either. And I'm bored and alone and whatever. And so I hit them up wanting to hang out. And of course, they're all still doing the same stuff. So within a couple of weeks, I'm back on heroin. And I'm getting kicked out of my parents' house. I have warrants now from all over the place, Arizona, Utah, Hurricane, just everywhere. And I'm on the run. I have no insurance or registration on my truck or anything. I'm in my 20s, early 20s till almost 26. I'm racking up all these charges. All my friends are dying. All my friends are committing suicide. And it's just a vicious cycle of trauma and wanting to drown it in trauma. And that's what came first. It didn't matter who or what was in my way. My family didn't matter. My friends didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was making sure that I wasn't sick. And that's how I lived my life for almost 10 years. And then January 17th, 2019 came around, and I ended up getting pulled over. And I have drugs in the car. I have no registration, no insurance on my truck, and I have like 5 different warrants from all over the place. And so I'm obviously going to jail. So I am sitting on the curb, and they let me smoke a cigarette. And I'm sitting there, and they're searching my truck. There's 2 of them, because, they usually call for backup. And one of the cops comes over, and I'm sitting on the curb, and he's standing up over me, looking at me, and he just says, "This could be the best day of your life." And that was it. And he turned around and walked back to my truck to his partner. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, I've done this before a dozen times. I've been here. It's not going to change anything. I'm a piece of crap. I'm an addict. That's what I knew. And by the time I got into jail, I had brought drugs into the jail and got in trouble again. So I was put in solitary confinement and put in the red jumpsuit. And so I'm in solitary confinement down in general population. And I'm sitting there and I'm sick as a dog and I'm miserable. Can't even sit down because I'm just so sick. I'm standing there thinking to myself, like, what am I doing with my life? I'm almost 26 years old. I have nothing. I have no relationships with my family. Like, I've not even seen them. I'm missing all these things that they're doing. My friends don't even care that I'm here, that my friends that I see every single day, it's just another day for them, And I have nothing. I have nothing to show for my life at all. And I'm like, I can do better than this. And I know those thoughts weren't coming from me because I was at the weakest point of my life. I've never thought those things before. And I, kept thinking of like, this could be the best day of your life, what that officer said to me. And I'm like, I really could. I could change something. I could make sure that this is the last time I come to jail. I could make sure that I have a better future. I can decide to do those things. And so I'm having all these thoughts in there. I'm not praying or anything, but they're just coming to me, and I know that it's not coming from me. And so I decide in there that I'm actually going to try and get sober, that I want to get sober, which I've never thought before, or that I could, or that I even wanted to. And I can't go to my court dates. I can't make any phone calls because I'm in solitary confinement. So I make a friend through the door because I have a little window. And, in jail, like, phone calls are gold. So I got very lucky because some girl was allowing me to use her own money to call my mom for me while I was in solitary confinement. And she called my mom and told her that I said that I wanted to go to rehab. And that was music to my mom's ears. And she jumped right on that. And she went and found an advocate for me who goes around to try and help people, addicts and stuff, because jail isn't really the best place for you to try and, get a recovery program or help yourself. And so he went around to all my court dates with my mom, all 5 or 4 of them, in that area, and got every single judge to release me to go to rehab, which was a freaking
That
miracle.
is crazy. That is crazy. It's funny because as you're like telling this, I feel like back when I was getting in trouble in St. George, it was like if I even thought about breaking the law, I was in jail. If it even came into my mind, I was arrested.
Literally.
And the fact that, as you're going through talking about all the charges and all of these things, I'm thinking, there's no way she's going to get out after this. She's in there. She's in there for good.
Yeah. No, I should have been in there for months, if not years or something. My charge list was like 16 charges long. I don't even know. Plus that I got the one of bringing contraband into the jail.
Yeah.
And so everyone who I'm talking through the door is like, you're not getting out. I spent 2 weeks there and then I was released.
That is crazy. That is a miracle.
It is a miracle. Yeah. Everyone was like shocked. Like, you're not going anywhere, lady. And plus I was in trouble. I was in solitary confinement and I'm not even at my hearings and they're releasing me. And
That's
so,
crazy.
yeah, it was crazy. So I get released from all these judges. I get told this and I get picked up by my mom. I'm told to pack a bag and I'm going straight up to Heber in northern Utah. And I go to rehab and I want to stay as long as I can. I want to do 90 days. I wanted to get as much time under my belt to help myself, which I'm like, before I'm like, please just let me do 30 days and let me get out of here, But I'm like, I really want to help myself.
I have to ask, what treatment center in Heber?
Wasatch Crest.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. I work in behavioral health, and so I know every treatment center in the state, and so that's super cool. My husband also got sober in Heber.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was a really great place. I love that place. And I've met some really great people and counselors there, which really
Yep.
helps a lot. Um, so I go there and I get put in a room with an 18-year-old girl. So now I'm like, this is me when I was, this was her first rehab, her first time. I'm looking at her like, you're me, you know? And I know I was put with her for a reason. And she became my best friend and like my little sister while I was in there. Um, but I was in there and I like my attitude was completely different from the other times I'd been to rehab. Like I was like, no, we want to try. Like you don't want to be like me. Like we can do better. Like let's do this. Let's actually like put the work in. And I'm like, trying to be helpful to others and also myself and trying to like interact with people and the questions and be, present for all this. And I was in there and for 60 or 70 days at this point, that roommate of mine was getting out soon. But while we were in there, she was getting bullied by someone who was about 30 years old or something like that. I really don't like bullies. I really do. I've had a problem with that my whole life. That's basically every fight I've gotten into is because of a bully. And so she's getting bullied and she's coming to me and telling me this. And I feel responsible for her because I feel like she's my little sister. She's my best friend in there, you know? And so I'm getting angry and, I'm newly sober. My emotions aren't regulated yet. Like I'm just trying to like survive at this point. And I'm getting angry about this because I do not like that. And she's telling her like, you're going to relapse as soon as you get out of here. Like you don't stand a chance. You're this and that. And was really ticking me off. And one day, 60 or 70 days in, I snapped and I assaulted this girl who was bullying my friend. And I ended up getting kicked out. And making that phone call to my parents was absolutely heartbreaking because I just felt like I was letting him down. Even though I didn't relapse or anything, I still was like, I wasn't doing what I told them I was going to do and what I wanted to do. And that really sucked. But I knew that I could still do what I was planning to do by leaving, even by leaving early this rehab. So I ended up getting a hotel that night. They drove me to a hotel and I locked myself inside my room because it wasn't in a great part of town. And I was like, I don't want to leave this room because I don't even want to know what's going on around me. Like, I don't want to relapse. I want to be in here until I get taken to a sober living house the next day. And I did. I stayed in that room that entire night. And I went to sober living the next day and checked myself into outpatient and everything like that, like I was planning to do after rehab, anyways. I'm doing outpatient. I'm now living with my friend. She's in the same sober living. And I'm doing great. I have a job and I'm going to work and I'm working my recovery and I'm like killing it. I never thought I could do that. And I'm like being helpful to other people around me, which I love that. I love helping people. And which I never thought I would be helping anyone. Like I was a train wreck. And I ended up moving back to my sister's house in Las Vegas because I ended up breaking my kneecap and my lease was up. So I was like, I'm struggling. Like, I need to be somewhere else. My sister let me come in again for the second time, even after I burned her the first time. Like, she's just a saint. And I move in with her family, and she was going through a hard time as well. She was going through a divorce. So we were kind of just like leaning on each other. And that's when the church started getting introduced to me again. And because she's very by the book. And like, while I was going through this, and she's like, just go to church and everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, Heather, it doesn't work like that. Like, I'm like dying right now, like, but she just is all like, this is how her mind works. Like, it's going to
Yeah.
be fine. Just go to church. And it does help. Obviously, it has because that's where I am now. But she's like, you need to go to church because at this point, I have no friends. I changed my phone number. I've deleted everyone on Facebook. Like, I did all the things to make sure that I could do this for real. And she's like, you have no friends. You just go to work and come home and you're, a lonely, sad thing. And she's like, you need to go to church and make some good friends. So I start going to the singles ward. And that's when I first gained my own testimony. Because I'm sitting in the very back of church. I'm still introverted. I'm not really trying to make friends. I am there telling my sister I am, but I'm really just like, please don't talk to me. I am still like trying to feel normal in my own body. And I'm sitting in the back and I'm watching all these people, my age and younger, going up and bearing their testimony and giving talks and saying like how much they love Jesus and like they're going through these hard things, but they know it's going to be okay. And that like Jesus has their back and like how grateful they are for the gospel and their friends and like the community and stuff. And I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, I'm used to my friends and we're all just tearing each other down and helping us go to hell. And I'm
Yeah.
like here with these people and I'm like, this feels so good. And I remember going to church that first Sunday and I don't know what came over me, but I walked straight up to the bishop that first Sunday and I just looked at him. He has no idea who I am, doesn't even know my name. I just looked at him and I was like, I need to talk to you. And he was like, okay. So, like, we go talk, and I'm just feeling like weighed down by all the stuff that I've done because I just feel like I'm this terrible person. I've done all these terrible things. There's no hope for me. Like, I'm not going to be forgiven. I can't even forgive myself. Like, I can't move on from this. And I just literally go through, I don't even know how long I was in there, probably a while. And I'm literally telling him every single thing I've ever done, things that I thought were my fault, people who died and this and that. And I'm like the devil. Like, that's what I thought about myself. And he just literally sits there, doesn't blink an eye or anything, looking at me with like the kindest face, and just sits there and is like, you are exactly where you need to be. And your countenance is so bright. And I'm like, I literally just told you I'm a heroin addict and all this other stuff. And you're sitting here telling me that my countenance is bright. What is wrong with you? Like, that is crazy. And I'm just bawling now because I'm never thought that about myself ever. And I'm like, this guy is so nice to me. And it just heard all the worst parts of my life and worst parts of myself and just tells me that I'm loved and that he loves me and that I need to keep coming back here because this is where I belong. And I was like, just in shock. And I remember coming home to my sister and I was like, I just had the best day ever. Like, I can't wait for next Sunday to go back to church, which is so freaking weird for me to ever say something like that. And she was like, whoa. And every Sunday was like that. I'd go to church. I'm like, I just learned all this and that. And like, because I never really paid attention when I was a kid. I stopped going to church when I was probably like 16 and acted like I was too cool for before that. And she was just like, well, this is awesome. And she was so happy and proud of me and stuff. And that didn't mean like everything was sunshine and roses after that. Like, I still had things I struggled with. The sexual abuse stuff really makes me struggle because I always felt like that's what I have to do for someone to love me. So I was still kind of struggling with that. And I stopped going at different points because of, whatever reasons. But I ended up getting my patriarchal blessing. And a year or two after that. And I remember walking in there and my parents drove down to be with me. This is still in Vegas and I was living on my own now. And I remember getting to the house and I'm like, nothing's even going to come to the patriarch because God is going to be like, no, you don't deserve this. Like you still have to do all A, B, and C. And I walked in there. And the first thing that this guy says to me, still, it doesn't know who I am, doesn't know my background or anything about me. And he says, your Heavenly Father knows you're here and he's proud of you. And I was like, great. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And I had like an amazing blessing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm freaking going to kill this. Like I'm so pumped. Like I'm going to go do all this stuff. And I was like, I can't believe this is about me. Like, because I still like struggled with forgiving myself and like thinking that I deserved anything better than because of the things that I've done. And, still was going up and down. I ended up meeting someone and got pregnant before I was married. And the relationship was not that good. But I remember reading that pregnancy test. And in that moment, I was like, okay, I need to buckle down. Like, if I'm going to be a mom, I have someone to take care of. Like, I know I need to turn my life over to Christ, like all the way and not have my 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like what I've been doing, because that's what this child deserves. They deserve the best mother ever. I know that's how I'm going to be the best mom. So after that point, I was all in. And my son changed my life. Even though I wasn't doing bad, I was still sober and everything. But I finally at that point was like, I need to show this little boy what it's like to be a disciple of Christ, what it's like to, love your family and be loved and all these things that come with, following Jesus. And he's the reason why I'm on this podcast today. He's the reason I started my page, all because of him, because I want to show him that you can do all these things and you can come back and still have a good future and a good life. And I want to show that to everybody else. And I went and I got my endowments, shortly after he was born, a year or so. And that was a great blessing. Going to the temple has been one of the greatest blessings of my life. I can't tell you how many times I go there stressed out about something because I still have hardships. I'm still going to forever. That's just how life is. But I go to the temple and these strangers, complete strangers, have no idea about me, my life, or what I'm going through, answer my prayers every single time I go there. And I know that they were put there to help me by God, to help me and help me go through whatever I'm going through at any given moment. And it's just been such a crazy experience because I look back at those booking pictures that I post them a lot just to show the difference of, who I
Mm-hmm.
was and who I am now. And I'm looking at this person, I'm like, that doesn't even feel like myself. Like that just feels like somebody else. It's
Yeah.
just it's a stranger. I've literally been freed from addiction, from the trauma I've been through. I have nightmares and things like that, but I'm not held bonded by anything of my past. They teach you like, oh, once you're an addict, you're always an addict. I do not feel like an addict.
I, I, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. I feel
Yeah,
the same way.
yeah. And I'm like, this is what's been drilled in my head. And I'm like, no, I'm not. That's not a word I would use to describe myself. Yes,
I
before.
feel the same way.
Yeah. It's not anything that would come to my mind. If someone asked me to describe myself, that would not even be on my mind to use. Before, yes, that's probably the only word I would use.
Yep.
But I've literally been freed from that and everything else that I've been going through. I can't tell you how amazing it's been to go through all these things and see the reason why at the end of this and see that I'm now helping other people who are going through something similar or helping families who know some like their child is an addict or what this and that. Like it's been such a blessing. And I literally, where I am right now, I'm happy. I'm in a loving, healthy relationship. I have my beautiful son and I have my family. We're so close now. I would not change a thing that's happened in my life because every single moment, every single traumatic experience and everything has been a stepping stone that led me back to God and to Jesus. And I know that it was for a reason. And I know that I'm supposed to use those things to help others and help myself.
Your story hits so close to home for me. I can understand exactly what you're saying about becoming a whole new person. You're not what you did, you're not who you used to be, and it's like you're a completely new person with a new heart. And I see that in you. And I mean, everything from your dad rushing to pick you up is like a mirror of my story. And,
Really?
when you're in the thick of it, you just feel like, how am I ever going to get out of this? How am I ever going to change my life? How am I ever going to repair this? And it's so, how can you ever not see that the Savior's atonement is so real when you see like where you were and where you are today? Like, how could anybody not see that the transformative power of the Savior's atonement is so real
Hmm.
and it enables you to do things that you could not do on your own?
No. And that's the thing. People comment on my stuff like, you did that. You did that. You don't need to give any credit to anybody else. I said, no, I did not. I'm just a human being. There's no way if you knew me back then, even if you just saw what was going on, you don't know how I would have done anything for that drug. I would have killed myself, almost did multiple times, and watching my friends drop around me, and I'm just sitting there like, well, I need some more. Like to
Yep.
go from that person to where I am today and not even wanting or thinking about or even plotting or planning or anything to ever touch anything in my life, that is nothing short of a miracle from God and the
Yep.
atonement of Jesus Christ. There's no way I did all that by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I I feel like just stories of addiction, they just really they mean so much to me because I feel like, I mean, every story that we have on the podcast means so much to me, but it just hits home so much for me. It is such a beautiful imagery of how the Savior's atonement works in our lives and how much somebody can change. You now can take all that trauma, all that pain, all that hardship, your parents, your family, like you can take all that pain and you can use it for something good. Because when you're in the thick of it, and I'll never forget this, I was in rehab, my 15th rehab, Salvation Army in Fresno, California. And I remember there was this lady that came and she was speaking, telling her recovery story. In her story, it was crazy, just crazy. And just same as my story. all these crazy times she should have died, all these things. And then she got sober, and she was sober for like 10 years when she was telling her story. And I was like, what if this lady doing all these things, all these mistakes, all this mess that she created for herself, like if she can do it, like maybe I could too. And I think that's why it is so important for us to share our stories and to be able to just be honest. And, obviously, like you or me sharing details of our past, it can be a lot. It can be super heavy and maybe not for every audience. Maybe they're not, but it's the reality of it. And I think the important thing about being honest about where we've been is that for those people that need to hear, like, maybe it could be me too. Like, if I went through all this, but she did too, and she's come back, maybe I can do it too. And I think that's like, you're literally the epitome of God works all things to the good of those who love him. That's you. That's for you.
Thank you. And I wanted to share one of my favorite scriptures if I could.
Please do. Please do.
Okay, it's Alma 36, 17 through 20. But basically it's Alma really struggling with all the sins that he's done. He describes himself as the most vile of sinners. That's pretty bad. I don't
Yeah.
know if I would have described myself as that. I knew I was bad though. But that's how he describes himself. And he's really being tormented and is in pain for all these things, just like you and I have gone through. Like, I would beat myself up forever, for literally
Mm-hmm.
years after I even, tried to get sober and stuff. And he's thinking to himself, he remembered his dad talking about Jesus Christ and what he can do for us. And he cries unto him and asks him to have mercy on him, and that he's encircled by everlasting chains of death. Like, he's just really struggling. And it says instantly that his pain was replaced with joy, and it was just exceeding as his pain, just instantly. It didn't take him a year or 2 years of beating himself up and, jumping through 1,200 hoops and whatever, and like doing all these things to just show him, like, I'm really in pain and I'm really sorry. All he had to do was completely turn his heart and his life over to Jesus, and instantly his pain was replaced with joy. And that just makes me think of my own life, because like I said, like, I would just beat myself up forever. I I could have felt better years ago, years before I actually did, because that's what Jesus wants. He doesn't want you to beat yourself up and feel like you're the biggest piece of crap on earth forever.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants you to really have a change of heart and really come unto. That's all he's literally standing there saying, "Come unto me,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now." I was literally in jail and having these thoughts come to me that, like, oh, maybe I could do better. I know that they were with me in the middle of
Yep.
jail in solitary confinement. And that's what he's doing. He's asking you, come unto me. There's no conditions around that. That's all he wants you to do. He doesn't want you to struggle and be in pain for forever. He just wants you to turn your life to him and really ask him for his help and his love and his guidance and his forgiveness. And that's all we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, that is so powerful. You're so right. It's like we go on this dark path for so long, but when we turn to him and we do come unto him, it's like his arms are wide open. It doesn't matter where we've been. It doesn't matter what we've done. The second you turn to him, he's there with his arms open for us to come back to him. And it's just the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah, and he's already done it. He's already paid for everything. It's already done. All you
Yep.
have to do is ask for his forgiveness and really have a change of heart and really try not to do it again. He knows we're not
Yep.
perfect. He's already paid for everything, though.
Yep.
Ready there. He's waiting for you.
Yep. I love it so much. Well, Kaya, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I just want to say that no matter where you're at or what you're doing or what you feel about yourself, I promise you that you can have a bright future and a better future for yourself. All you have to do is to decide, wherever you are or wherever you're at, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, that you can choose for yourself to have a better day, that this could be the best day of your life, that this day you can choose to do something different with your life. Whatever you're struggling with, it doesn't have to be as serious as what we've struggled with. You can choose better for yourself, and that's exactly what your Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ want for you. They want you to be happy and have a good life and have a loving relationship. and have a family and things like that. Whatever righteous desires of your heart, that's what they want for you. And you deserve it, no matter what you've done in your past.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. Well, Kai, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was just such a beautiful episode. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Surf Clothing is one of our favorite brands. They have been supporting us since the very beginning. We love them so much. I think one of the things that I like about Surf so much is that my husband is literally obsessed, and I brought him in here to share his experience with Surf Clothing. So Jesse, tell us.
I love Surf Clothing. This is the best shirt that I've ever owned for church and professional purposes. It's got four-way stretch, which makes it really nice because not all the time I'm at my desk. Oftentimes I'm moving and out and about. So it's really nice to have a flexible shirt that moves with me. I know that it's got a mesh collar that I love. I think the purpose of that is really to prevent stains, but it's also super comfortable. It's way more comfortable around my neck. You know, if I'm at church or in business meetings with a tie or whether I don't have a tie, it's really comfortable. It's got arm vents, which I love because I'm kind of a bigger fella. It helps me so that I can be a bit breathable, and I love it.
And also, you can get 15% off a shirt from Serve by using the code COMEBACK.
A lot of people have asked us how they can support the podcast, and we have created a Comeback Podcast merch line on our website, www.comebackpodcast.org. All of the money made from the merch goes right back into the podcast. So if you are interested in supporting the podcast and you want to purchase some merch, we would love it. Check it out. Thank you so much for being a supporter of the Comeback Podcast and listening to our episodes. It would mean so much to us if you would like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps other people be able to find us, and we want to share this message to everyone.